I'm in a mild state of panic, people. Panic? Is that what it is? Panic. Uh, I meant to talk about being in love, so it does seem a little bit counterintuitive or counter something for me to be in this state of panic that I'm in. Uh, but there's a woman that I've been in love with for like 14 years. 14 years, which is the amount of time it takes for you to be born and to become a freshman in high school. That's how long it's been. And 14 years ago, I knew I was in love with her. Not right away. To try to, I don't want to get too much into detail because I made this video once already, which is one of the reasons why I'm in a state of panic, because I made the video, then went back and watched it and thought, she is not, there's no way she loves this person. So I think that's what started the whole panic. It was like, oh my God, she's not gonna, you're not gonna get her. And but 14 years ago, look at my brain is just like, I can't even think straight. Would the real me please stand up? Would the real me please stand up? This woman has been in and out of my life for 14 years, pretty much. We've never actually dated. We've been on dates, but we've never been a couple. Every time we've been together in the same space, she was with somebody else. When I say with somebody else, I mean that she was in a couple romantic relationship with somebody else. And I'm trying to be as honest and as genuine as I can, because I feel like after watching the last video, which seemed a little bit like I was trying too hard. I don't know what that is. It's like a bald spot or something, but 14 years ago, I saw this girl at a party. It was a large party at like a public venue type thing. She was a friend of a friend. I was friends with a girl who invited me to the party, and she had told me about this girl previously. She had told me what a great kisser she was, and I didn't know it was her when I saw her. Yeah, but so I saw her at this party, and I thought, my first sight of her, I was struck in a way that I had not been struck before. I saw her and I just thought, who is this girl? She had this just kind of, like there's like 50 people in the room, right? But my eyes are like locked on her and just kind of just like a magnet. And despite saying it that way, I didn't think that I was in love with her then. It wasn't, you might call it love at first sight, but it wasn't, if I was in love with her then, it was not apparent to me. But I saw her and I just thought, she stands out. You know, she stands out in a way that I am not accustomed to. And fast forward to the next time I saw her, it was at another party. Same situation. I was invited by my friend, another girl, and I go to this party, and the one that I'm in love with was there. I wasn't in love with her. Like I said, I didn't think that I was in love with her then, but she's at the party. The second party. And she's walking around going, I want boobs to squeeze. I want boobs to squeeze. And when I saw her doing that, something in my head said, I want to get to know this girl. I'm fascinated. My interest is piqued. And so she was walking around, I want boobs to squeeze, I want boobs to squeeze. And I was not doing this back then. I didn't have breasts of my own. If I had breasts of my own back then, I would have said, here you go. Have at it. But I was living as a man back then, did not even think that I was trans. And so I did, when I want boobs to squeeze, what I do is I drink beer. So I handed her a beer and I said, here you go. This is what I do when I want boobs to squeeze. And that was the extent of our first encounter. That was it. There was nothing, no conversation. She wasn't like, well, that's cute, or anything like that. It was just like, she did laugh, and then she just kept on going throughout the party, doing whatever she was doing. And whether it was a smart thing to say or a dumb thing to say, I don't know. That was all I could think to say. But that encounter, just that little few seconds, was enough for me to want more. Jesus Christ. My brain is in like full, like, if ever there was like fear of rejection in my life, one of the defining characteristics of borderline personality disorder is this fear of being rejected. And if ever there was a moment where that's like the signals are going off in my brain, it's right now. So I didn't talk to her again at that party, but I did see her later in a cow suit. It's a big like Halloween costume type thing, and it was not Halloween though. And I don't know if she just carries cow suits around with her when she goes to parties. I don't know what that was about. But I thought she was just the most adorable thing on the face of the planet. And I still wouldn't say that I was in love then, or I would I did, if I was, I didn't know that I was, and but I was certainly in a place where I felt like something was going on, right? I felt like this girl is special. Uh, I this is a once in a lifetime thing that's happening already. I was thinking that. And so I don't want to go into the whole details again. Maybe I do. Maybe that's why I'm doing this. I don't know. But so I found out from my friend where she worked. She worked at a coffee shop, which was very nice, right? Because a coffee shop is very. If you want to talk to somebody while they're at work, a coffee shop is a great place to do that, right? So she worked at this coffee shop. It's like a local, privately owned business, I believe. And started talking to her just very casually, like 10 or 15 minutes at a time. Like I'd go up there and buy coffee, I think, and then just say hello and chit chat for just a little while. No 2 hour conversations, no life story, stuff like that. And I think that was about it. Prior to me getting the letter from the U.S. government being recalled to active duty, at that time I was in reserve status with the Army, and I was recalled to active duty to go to Iraq. And like I said, I knew that something was going on with how I felt about this girl. And so when I got the letter, I went to where she worked and I told her about it. And I told her I something like, I got this letter saying that I have to go to Iraq. And I really like you and I would like to keep in touch. And she had a boyfriend this entire time, if I didn't say that already. And I said, I really like you or something like that, and I would like to keep in touch. And so she gave me her email address. Some Washington Redskin thing. She was originally from Maryland. I don't remember the email address. I'm not going to give you her email address, but I remember it was something about Lady Redskin, I believe is what it was. So if that gives you any indication of where I was at, because how many email addresses do you remember? But so I took her email address and went to Fort Benning, Georgia. To go to get evaluated. When you get recalled to active duty, they don't just send you overseas or whatever. You have to go through an evaluation. You have to talk to a psychologist. You have to go through it, take physicals all over again, all that stuff that you have to do when you joined the military the first time. You have to do all over again. And so I did that. And during that time, before I did that, while I was in Fort Benning, she was sending me emails. We were talking back and forth through email, and I don't remember really the conversations. I don't know how we got onto the subject of poetry. Somehow we got onto the subject of poetry, and she told me that she liked to write poems, and she sent me two of the. I said, can I see some of the poems that you've written? And so she sent me two of them, and one of them was this description of a kind of like a night scene, like it described the night sky as like this curtain, like the black of the night sky is the curtain, and the stars are pinholes in the curtain, which let through the divine light from heaven. And the second one was essentially a lesbian love poem. It was also a description of a scene with these two women who were up in a cloud, and it was reading those where I got pushed over the edge. And I can't say which of the two poems it was, because it was actually both of them. They both had a very profound effect on me. And after reading both of them, I just sat there and just this kind of like, I am head over heels in love with this woman. I am crazy about this woman. And so I called her up. Prior to that, I think it basically just been talking through emails only. But after I read those poems, I called her up on the phone, and I said something like, I am crazy about you. And she said something to the effect of, I feel the same way about you. And like I said, she was with somebody else during this time. So I'm going through my evaluation at Fort Benning. They decide they can't send me overseas because I failed the psychological health evaluation. They asked me questions like, have you been suicidal? Do you get angry? Do you drink? Do you use drugs? Questions like that. And I was like, yes. Which was all just me being honest. But they said, you're not fit to be sent overseas to a combat zone. And which was music to my ears. That was exactly what I wanted to hear. And I think I called her up too then and said something like, well, I'm coming back home. And I told her what happened. And I don't remember exactly how it went, but we decided to meet up, to go on a date, basically. And like I said, she was with somebody else. So it was a little bit, I was a little bit like apprehensive, you might say. Going on a date with somebody who already had somebody who was already, with somebody else. But also, I was apprehensive because I was crazy about this person, and I was scared. I was scared that I would disappoint her if she decided that she was ready for sex on the first night. So during that time, I was not very confident sexually. I'd had a few embarrassing failures in bed, you might say, and things like that, and otherwise just was not satisfied with my sex life. And So we went on the date, and I was a nervous wreck. And that was mostly because of this anxiety about the future. This anxiety of, what if she wants to go to sleep with me tonight? And I can't perform, and she's disappointed, and then I lose her forever. That was kind of the anxiety. But the other part of that was that I'm thinking, I'm crazy about this girl, but I can't actually see us having sex. Like, I don't see it. I don't see that. Like, if this is like a movie scene that I'm watching, I don't see us getting to that point. And so I was really confused. I was kind of like, this is driving me nuts a little bit. That I don't see how this goes. Like, if we were to go back to a hotel room, or to my apartment, or whatever, I'm assuming it wouldn't be to her place because she does have a boyfriend. But if we were to go back to my place, or whatever, or to a hotel or whatever, I don't see it panning out. I don't see it. I just don't see how this goes. I don't see how this ends well. So the first date was a nightmare. It was not a. I don't remember at any point on our first date where I felt like I was having a good time or anything like that. At one point, I think we'd been hanging out for maybe an hour or something like that, and I think she said something like, "I can see you have a lot on your plate," and but that wasn't the end of it. I don't know what I had done to earn a second attempt. But I got a second attempt. And a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth. And so we went out several times. And as every time we went out, it just kept building and building and building and building. This feeling of just like this girl is, she is, what's the way to describe it? She is the first girl I ever wrote poems about. There was a point where she and I were together in a bar, and I had just gotten there. She was there before me, and she was at the bar already, and there was one bar stool available. I think she was either sitting on it or it had just sat down on it, and then I sat down on her lap, and she reached her arm around me to the front side, and I put my hand inside of her hand, and when I felt our palms kind of face to face, I felt something I never felt before. I felt something that was better than the sex I'd had with other women. Something that when I felt it, I felt like this is what I've been looking for my entire life. This is there's something very deeply satisfying just in holding her hand that I've never experienced from holding somebody's hand or just being, close, physically close to somebody. One of the reasons why I'm kind of in this discombobulated state at the moment is because this was 14 years ago. The events that I just described were about 14 years ago. And over those 14 years, there's been this kind of we went out together. I stopped it. She contacted me and said she missed me. We started talking again. Then we stopped talking again. Then we started talking again. And despite all that, through all that, regardless of what happened, I had this idea. I don't even want to call it an idea. It was like a voice in my head that kept saying, you two are going to be together. She is the one for you. She is one of the reasons that I came to the idea that I'm trans. I think if I had already dealt with this or come face to face with this before I met her, I think she and I would be together already. I think she probably would have left her first boyfriend for me, and that she and I would be together already. And the reason she didn't leave her boyfriend for me was because I was in this state of confusion. This state of, it's not clear to me what I want. I know that I want you, but I don't see that movie playing out in my head. And I'm feeling very stressed out at the moment, if you can't tell. So, which, of course, this was kind of how I was on our first date. So if you see me like acting like what's wrong with you? Like, why are you acting so just kind of this was kind of how I was on the first date. And so yeah, it was through my relationship with her where I started to think that what I wanted in a relationship with a woman was essentially a lesbian relationship, which was something that I had kind of just joked about before. I used to say jokingly that I was a lesbian in a man's body. Is what I used to say. But when I met her, that was when I started to take that seriously. I started to think that it wasn't really thinking. It was more. I started writing poems for her and that sort of thing, and as I was writing the poems, I would sometimes see visions, like just images in my head of myself in this very kind of effeminate like just dress or behavior. Uh, and I would wonder, like, why am I seeing myself that way? Why am I seeing myself like in this silk nightgown? Uh, I saw this image of us like up in this kind of castle in the sky type thing. Like it wasn't. I didn't really see the castle. I saw the room that we were in. And it was this very. It was kind of a stone, large stone kind of thing that was. But it was very large. It looked like something maybe like a prince or a princess lived in. With a big bed, and it was up kind of high, so that like when you looked out the windows, all you saw were the sky and the clouds. You couldn't even see like the trees or ground or anything. And there was like this. The ceiling was not completely covered, and so sunlight would shine in through the ceiling and through the windows. And I saw this as I was writing a poem, and the poem went something like "Silken white drapes down my spine." And I remember thinking, why is silken white draping down my spine, not hers? And there was some recognition there that that was not like a accident. Like when I wrote that line, it wasn't an accident. That was something that I actually wanted. That I wanted to be in this romantic scene where I'm wearing like this silk slip or gown or whatever it is, and but at that time I did not start thinking that I was trans. You might say those were the seeds. Through my life, there have been many times where you might say those seeds were planted, or the kind of the suspicion that there was something up with my gender was there. But it was really once I started hanging out with her and that sort of thing, where I started to really examine kind of my relationships that I'd had before, even, and what it was that I wanted from her. But starting out, things just didn't go well. I mean, as far as like I said, I was confused and just kind of not very confident, you might say, and not very confident in what I wanted, and because I didn't know what I wanted, but so I didn't think that I was trans then, but that was one of the things that kind of got that ball rolling, and yeah, so it didn't quite work out. I At one point I ended it, and when I say I ended it, I don't mean that we were dating, but we kind of were. We went out together quite a bit. It was mostly to bars and things like that. We never did like a lunch or a dinner. It was like Friday, Saturday night. You know, I send her a text. I say I'm at such and such bar, and she comes to the bar where I'm at, and we hang out. We might hug. We might kiss. Um, but at a certain point, I just felt like the tension of this is just it's just too much. Uh, my own confusion was a part of that. Uh, but just she wasn't willing to leave her boyfriend for me, and I don't blame her because the way that I was, I was not a very secure promise, right? Like I wasn't the sort of thing where if she left him for me, where I felt like I can pick up that slack, that if you're going to jump out of the window, I can catch you and we can run off together. That wasn't there, and so I'm not surprised that she didn't leave him for me, even if she was more in love with me than she was with him. And set me free, love. Love set me free. I don't feel free at all. But I used to think, even then, I think even before I broke it off, I was already starting to think that she and I were going to be married someday. And like I used to walk through, like say, like the CVS or the Walgreens, and when I saw like you know how Walgreens or drugstores have the card, like the Valentine's Day cards or the whatever, the card racks, whatever you call them. Uh, I walked by those one day and I saw this like for my wife card, and I thought that's that's her. That's her. Despite the fact we never had sex, despite the fact that I was totally confused about how I felt or about what I wanted, despite the fact that she was with a boyfriend or she had a boyfriend, I'm looking at this card thinking, this is her. She is my wife. And but like I said, at one point, I basically had to put it to an end. And it, you know, this all started 14 years ago. So, of course, it didn't end then, really. And I remember having a dream about her once where I came to my dad's house. I walk in the door And as soon as I walk in the door, she walks out of the bathroom in this her body's wrapped in a towel and her hair is wet. And I see my dad kind of over to the side, kind of like in the living room. Like I don't know if I need to go into that, but there's like the living room and the bathroom is off to another side. And I don't even need to talk to him. You know how dreams are, hopefully. But I knew from the dream logic, the dream script, whatever you want to call it, I knew that he had been letting her stay there for several days because he knew that I was in love with her and he knew that she was in love with me. So he was letting her stay there as a guest in the guest bedroom, and she had just taken a shower in the guest bathroom, and she was there waiting for me. And when I saw that, my heart, if my heart had been a bird in a cage, it would have broken through the cage and just flew off. Yeah, probably into her hands. But so I'm looking at her thinking, oh my God, she is in love with me. I'm in love with her. This is it. So I said something like, I don't know if I said anything, but somehow, I was kind of like, we need to go to the bedroom. I don't think I said it out loud. I think I just, was kind of like, she knew it, I knew it. And so we go to the bedroom, the guest bedroom. I walk in behind her. I close the door. She turns around to face me. She's standing in front of the bed, so I could, if I, could just lay her over. And the dream ended. It stopped right there. And I did not see what happened. I could not see what happened. Maybe the dream was just like, that's all you need to see. Maybe that's all there was to it. I don't know. But what I suspect is that the reason the dream ended there was not because that's all there was to see, but it's because what I really wanted was to be a woman with her, to have essentially a lesbian relationship. Even if I have a penis, right? But we're basically two women together, two feminine people together, and I suspect that because if you fast forward from that point to 6 years later, maybe, I discover that I'm trans. I start going through the trans exploration. I start, just trying on women's clothing, wigs, makeup. I start watching porn and trying to imagine myself as the woman in porn, or just looking at images of women and trying to imagine that I have their body and things like that. And this is a pain in my neck. I don't mean to say I don't like it. What I mean to say is that I'm trying to be. I feel like I'm having to change my own normal behavior. And I don't know if that's because I want to impress her. If I have this kind of like, I have to impress her. I have to impress her. I don't know if it's that, or if it's this kind of like need to be genuine that I'm just unaccustomed to. Where it's like my insides are just kind of. I'm like the left and the right, the Democrats and the Republicans, where different aspects of my identity are at battle with each other. It could be, those could be the two aspects of my identity. One is this desire to impress her, right? And the other is this desire to be genuine. Those could be the two conflicting parties here. Because as I'm making this, I keep having this thing that's stuck in my head that she's watching this or she might watch this, and it's like there's this weight on my back, right? It's like what is the weight on my back? What is it? Is it that I need to impress her? Do I need to impress her?